There we go. Oh, let's straighten ourselves out a little bit. Tromp down the ever-growing hair so we can see the road trip that we're on today. And see, that's me in the car. That's you in the car. I'm in my car, you're in your car. Alrighty, what do we have going on today? Let me grab my pen so I can think better. Judy, nice to see you. Yes, I wore different glasses in 2023. Those were heavy though. Those would weigh down on my face. That was my, what's her name? I have a picture of her right here. Iris Apfel era. That was my Iris era. And I felt like a bit of a cartoon character. I won't deny. So they were good. I'm glad I wore them when I did. I'm happy with the glasses I wear now. The funny thing is about these glasses that I wear now, I technically don't even need to wear them. I can see well without them, but it's a habit I don't mind and I don't want to give up. So good morning. And I saw German Maid and I saw Sprinkle and I saw LGV, as I like to call you, undiagnosed something around Californian. Alrighty, here we are. I'm here. You're where you are. We are here together. I am me as you are he, as you are me. No, maybe. And it is a Thursday. It is Thursday, February 5th. Where I am, it's 11:01 Eastern, just turned 11:02. It may be a different day and time where you are. We have people all over the country and all over the world who join in. And I will be here. McDoug's, nice to see you. I will be here for the next 58 minutes or so. Now, you may be and you may not be. You have the flexibility of doing other things and putting down your phone and walking away and maybe sipping some water. Judy Dukes, I thought of you when I put a big old glass of water in here to make some tea. This is how I get my water in too, you know. Water in here to make some tea. This is how I get my water in too, you know. Filling out our habit trackers, whatnot. So you have flexibility with the time that you spend. How do you want to spend your time today? All right. ISSI PPI, and it's an hour earlier for you. So you have bonus. Remember last night I said I was going to write down some stuff and I got some good stuff done. I remembered to put some moisturizer at my desk so my hands aren't dry. I also did, Judy Dukes, I thought of you too. The 3 things that were left to do in my habit tracker last night after we get off of the YouTube Live, because I do TikTok Lives and YouTube Lives. I did the 3 things, one of which was flossing my teeth, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. All right? So think about the things that you're not doing because you think they're going to be bad. And I just want to share with you that they are often not as bad as we think they are. We build it up to be horrible in our minds, and then when we do it, it's no big deal. There we go. User 1622. Good morning. Good morning. It's great to be a good morning. Good morning to you and you and you and you. So grateful to be in good company for an hour. Yay. You're in good company because you're good company. And what would you like to do with our time together today? Would you like to celebrate a win, decluttering win? Put it in the comments. My name is Beth, Destination Decluttered, Decluttering Life Coach at your service. We want to celebrate the wins, but we don't always just want to do that. What we really is helpful is if you find yourself stuck and, as I say, even just dragging your feet on something, let me help you if you want. There is help available for you to uncover, discover, remove the cover on the container that you look into and say, oh, this is why I am doing what I'm doing. And sometimes what I'm doing is not doing stuff. Now, I will share with you, I have 2 emails. Actually, yeah, I have 2 emails that have been hanging around in my email box that I need to get done. They are fairly mundane. They are low level, as it says on my 3rd one, non-urgent. But I know that they're hanging out there. I'm going to do them today, And one of the reasons I decided I'm going to do it today is because I have accountability right here. If I say to you guys I'm going to do something, that is a tool in my toolkit to encourage me to do it. Marietta, nice to see you. Another tool in your toolkit. So thinking of something you're going to do is a start. Writing it down is another start. So I will say, do tax email, and then the other one is the PA report email. Complete these emails. So I thought of it. I looked at my schedule for this afternoon. I do have time to do it. I would love the feeling of just getting it off of my plate. That will feel so good to not have it hanging over my head and off of my plate. So I've written them down. I am now talking about it with external people, not just myself. That will also encourage me. The other one is to get some extra accountability. So tomorrow we have a TikTok Live. So I will say to you, tomorrow's TikTok Live, I will have done, because I have it scheduled right here, done the TX PPW, tax paperwork, and the PA PPW, the Pennsylvania paperwork. Notice what I'm doing. I am giving myself little tools to help me get stuff that I'm dragging on, okay? Use those tools. They're not ones that I don't gatekeep that stuff. I hope that helps. Okay. Judy, I have appointments to make that I keep putting off. No good reason. I should write it down too. So Judy, this is where I would say grab your workbook, or grab your notebook, turn it to the front page. Okay, today put your front page, write down, fold it in half, write down today's date. Actually, I by accident threw my page out yesterday, and so I actually put the things I was going to do regardless. Fold the paper in half, today's date here. On this side, write the hours of the day starting at 6 a.m. and skip an hour. This is the stuff for the things you already have officially scheduled. But then on this side, how many appointments do you have, Judy? I have 2 emails to reply to, and I have a patient portal message for an email I have next week. So I have 3 things I want to do before tomorrow's YouTube Live, TikTok Live, well, both of them. And I will share with you, one of the reasons I'm doing it is not because I enjoy doing them. I enjoy the fact of getting it done. All right, Judy, you've got 3 things to do. I've got 3 things to do. External accountability. Are you able to make those 3 appointments before 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow? Now, you don't have to answer me. You can just answer yourself. Okay. I will do my 3 if you do your 3. Anybody else here have 3 kind of low-level things that you just would love to feel like by before tomorrow at 9 a.m. that you've just got it off of your plate, this thing that's been hanging over you like the sword of Damocles, okay? Something like, for example, Marietta, I see that your house is 100% decluttered of Christmas decor. Yay is the feeling, and it looks so much less cluttered. Rock on with you. How do you feel when you look at less clutter? All right. All right. How do you feel when you look at less clutter? Now, here's a fun thing. Judy says, I'll work on doing that. Interesting. Damn it, Donna is saying to you, Judy, she confirmed her yearly doctor's appointment. Granted, she had to spend 20 minutes on hold, but sometimes that's the things you want to do. Yeah. Now, Cat Lady, taxes. Taxes is one of those big things that we dread, so we chunk them down. As I said, my very first one is literally reminding myself of what the emails, I think I have to print out something, sign it, and send it back to our tax preparer to say, yes, we're going to work with you today. That's going to be a step. To me, if I get an email that says, here's your email that says how much you donated to a cause you care about, One of the things I can do for my taxes is take that and file it into a folder on my desktop. So notice how those small things will add up. Okay, there we go. So Undiagnosed Californian wrote this down in the comments. Please, everybody, also write these things down for yourself, ideally in a notebook. I need to, one, sometimes numbering them or putting a little box next to it so you can check it off can help. Another tool in your decluttering toolkit. We are decluttering our brains this way, people. Get your clutter out of your brain and put it on a piece of paper. I need to make a call for this kids soccer club. I need to make one appointment for my mom, and I need to make another appointment for my mom. Okay. Yep. Oh, love it. I love it. So, yeah, notice Marietta says taxes are a big one for us. Anytime you use words that imply a large quantity, check to see if that overwhelms you. And even if it doesn't, practice chunking things down. Yeah, I have to make an Excel spreadsheet with all our deductions on it. Well, the neat thing is you could make the Excel spreadsheet. You could then maybe see who you donated to or your deductions were last year. You can start that. The earlier you start that stuff is going to be the better. I started doing this. Last year was the first year in pretty much our entire marriage that I had gotten ready and my husband had been encouraged strongly to get his stuff together. So we were actually able to file our taxes before they were due and not have an extension. And it felt wonderful. I want to repeat that again. Okay. Rossman says, I do what you said. Oh, good. You did what I said. And put a list and time in what I need to do. Yeah, that's what this is. I do that every single day for myself. I got everything done before work. Rock. I even made it to the donation box. Rock on with you. Maybe I will do that too. I'm going to write NERS. And I'll say donation because there's a green drop near the place I want to go. And instead of putting a question mark on it, I will put a period. I'm going to do that. LGV says, I just had a how long does it take moment. This is always when I wish I had my sunglasses on me and I could pretend to be Christy Newartson. I put away late to the party Christmas decoration storage and it took 3 minutes. Yeah. A lot of times we spend more time dreading something than it actually takes us to do it. So let's get out of dread and into action. Okay? If you struggle with that, I'm here to help you with it. So give me some specifics about something and I'm happy to help you with that. All right? This is decluttering. This helps you declutter your home. It helps you declutter your head. Sometimes I use this process to declutter what I call declutter my heart. I've got all these feelings about stuff and I don't know what to do with them. I'll pull out my notebook, fold it in half, write down all the unhelpful things, the things I'm afraid of, calm down my nervous system, shift gears, and then I am in a better position to take action knowing what I'm aiming for. Okay, as I said, I am aiming for not only being able to share with you guys that I got my 3 things done today when I share with you tomorrow, but that I look forward to feeling good. That relief of every time I look in my email box and it's like, oh, I mean, it's only been there since January 23rd. It's not that January 23rd is one and February 1st is another. So it's not like it's really been dragging. And I do have a call to make. And when I make this call, it will be good for me, but I just kind of dread it. So maybe, and if I'm dreading a call, see if I can email somebody. That's another one. Chunking it down, I will say email. Okay, so notice what I'm doing. Things are bubbling up to my head, and then I'm writing them down. And do not worry, anybody who is in the, anybody that was in the YouTube last night, we will not have an official, what were we calling it? An official hydration word. I did hydrate a lot last night with y'all. Good morning, Gina. And it felt good. And big surprise, I got up in the middle of the night and had to pee. Welcome. Welcome to my life. All right. So what do we got going on here? Okay. Who wants to do some decluttering while I am here at the ready, able to help you if you get stuck? We can talk about things in theory, but you know that you really find out what jams you up when you start to do a process. Sometimes not even starting is what jams you up, is you have a hard time. You know, yeah, Judy, I know I had to get up 3 times. So at least you know your body had more than enough. It had an abundance of water in it. So, you know, maybe you play around with, instead of 30 ounces of water in one fell swoop, you knock it down to 24. Play around with it. Yeah. But you know what? Getting rid of the toxins. Your body declutters itself all the time. You put some things in it, your body uses what it wants and easily lets go of what it doesn't want, so you don't poison yourself or feel all uncomfortable, and you feel better. So if it's as natural as what your body does, let's make it as easy as possible for you to do this with the stuff that's in your home. Okay? So I show up to help you with that. Let me see, what else? I do TikTok lives, I do YouTube lives. We've got 2 declutter parties this weekend. I apologize, I had to scrap the one on Sunday. We have to go to a funeral type thing. But there are 8 declutter parties in total this month. I will be scheduling, adding the TikTok lives and YouTube lives to next week's calendar, my calendar, and adding it to the secret page. There we go. Judy says it felt good to complete that task. And one of the things she's going to realize, which is so true, so you don't have to push yourself at the end, I'm going to start earlier today. So I love that. Maybe, Judy, you want to start, and I'm just riffing, thinking maybe one of your goals is to drink more water. You could easily drink some water and get some of your 20 minutes, a chunk of your 20 minutes of decluttering done while we're here. I will share with you guys a wonderful thing to do while we're on this TikTok live. I am the only one that needs to be in front of my screen, interacting with what's going on. You can put the phone down, you can prop it up somewhere, you can turn up the volume, you can put this, I don't know if you can watch it on your TV, but however you do this, you have the flexibility of looking away from the camera. You have the flexibility of walking from room to room, putting it down and using your hands. I think the best type of decluttering to do during one of my TikTok lives is going to be what I call surface level clutter. So the way I coach, I have divided up clutter into 3 categories, from the surface level to the deepest. It's kind of like a swimming pool. You've got your surface level clutter, you've got your stored clutter, and you've got your sentimental clutter. Sentimental is the deepest. It's the stuff that tells you stories of who you used to be. I see sentimental clutter right there that I may be working on myself today. I recommend that when you are listening to somebody else, that is when it can make it easy for you to do some of that mundane, cyclical, daily routine decluttering. Folding laundry, doing some vacuuming. You can turn up the volume here. All right. Putting away dishes wherever the dishes are supposed to go. Putting clothing away. Putting things back where they belong, because you have already listened to yourself to say that's where that belongs. Is anybody stuck with anything on the surface level clutter? Okay, cool. Marietta says, I make my notebook lists during your live. Wonderful. Wonderful. There was something I was just thinking of. Let's see. Decluttering on the surface. Oh, I will head this one off at the pass. You may realize that one of the reasons that your surfaces are full, it's because when you go to where you store your stuff, your storage is full. All right? I don't know if that's for everybody. Somebody just put a little heart on my head. So do not be surprised if you have things stacked on a surface, a horizontal surface, because when you get into opening up, like Jessie is wiping the surface of her cabinets while I listen, awesome. If she opened up the cabinets, she may have to listen to her head more than me. So notice this. Yep. So here's a fun thing. Julie says, I do. Marietta says, the rest of my house is so uncluttered now that my bedroom is looking crazy. Cluttered now. Notice the difference, the comparison. When you start changing how other areas look, you're going to be noticing even more where things are cluttered. So Marietta, we could hang out together for the next 40 minutes, and I bet you could make your bedroom look less cluttered. Okay? Yeah, so Undiagnosed California is saying, yes, that is usually my case. I dread, notice where the dread comes. I dread putting my clothing away because there's not enough room for the clothes in the storage. So I got to edit my closet. Now, editing your closet, editing like anything, is pulling out what doesn't belong, pulling out the excess, paring things down to the clear, bare minimum to get your point across. Okay? There we go. Judy says, I'm working at a toy store in Littletown. No customers. Yeah. When you don't have customers in your store, you can listen to yourself, not the customers. Going to work on lists I usually don't take time to do. That is a great thing, but please note that splitting your time like that sometimes can be frustrating if somebody comes in. So make sure you also schedule some time to do those things outside of work when you can truly focus on it, even for 10 minutes. But yay, capturing unexpected time to do some of your stuff. You know, sometimes you don't have stuff and then things change. And yeah, and I just noticed something that I have to change right here. So how do you want to spend your time together with me today? Write it down for yourself on paper. Then add it to the comments here. Julie is saying, my cleaning lady is coming today, and I have to put everything on the bed and couches that was on the floor. All right, Julie Gift, notice the surface clutter that I talked about. Any horizontal surface is surface clutter. The floor tends to be one of them. Notice one of the reasons you're moving that stuff is because you want to get the most clean. You're not the only person I know who, as we like to say, has to clean for the cleaners. But the other thing is too, is that it's gonna, so some of the stuff, what are you putting on the bed and on the couches that you could instead put away? Is there any category? This is what we like to do, is we like to chunk things down, and even when you're not feeling well, like Marietta says, look, so 4 things. Making sure you're feeling good physically. If you're not feeling okay physically, you need to adjust your plan to incorporate that. Marietta says, my stomach is actually hurting right now, so I can't physically declutter, but I will do it today. Now, Marietta, I hope you are doing something to make your tummy feel better. Okay? And one thing you can do when your stomach is hurting you, perhaps, is sit there with your notebook and write down the list of things you want to get done physically when you feel better. Okay? So, Julie, notice immediately when I said, are there categories? Because we feel good physically. We want to calm down your nervous system is number 2 or 1.5. So you don't feel overwhelmed. Now, I see a bit of overwhelm because I see you say clothes, organizing bins, makeup, and skincare. Okay, so you immediately came with a list of things that you need to do. So you wrote that down. Number 3 is writing things down. You just wrote it in the comments. When you write it down, we can chunk it down. So, okay, purses and summer clothes. Okay, when you keep on going like that and it's not you, that's when I can sense a bit of overwhelm. Oh my gosh, there's so much. There's this, that, this, that, this, that, this, that. I get it. Out of the ones you just let's slow you down, let's calm you down, and let's chunk it down. You've already written down those things. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that you wrote down, Julie, what is one of the easiest ones for you to put away instead of just putting on the higher surfaces? Because notice, clutter on the floor is still clutter when you put it on your couch or your bed. So maybe right now you put that stuff on a higher surface so your cleaning person can vacuum, much like German Maid. But you can still categorize and sort. So out of those 6 or so that you put down there, what's the easiest one of those categories to put away? You don't need to write it down, but notice what I'm doing. I'm trying to help you, because thinking about specifics and chunking things down also calms down your nervous system and gets you out of fight or flight and into at least neutral. And from neutral, we can muck around and then make a plan that gets you feeling better. Okay? So pick one of those that's the easiest one to put away. And after you get the stuff up there, don't beat yourself up. Well, never beat yourself up. It just doesn't, it's not even worth it. All right? All right. Lady V says, and this is interesting, I finished, and you're using the quotes yourself, I finished cleaning my desk, but it still looks cluttered. And I don't see how much more I can condense. All right. So notice, part of you is saying it's done, but part of you is like, no, it's not done. Because number one is, how does it look? When you are defining, as I'd like to call it, your destination decluttered, there are 3 major things to think about. How does it look? How does it function? And when it looks good and functions well, how do I feel? How do I want to feel? So there seems to be some tension, Lady V. Part of you says finished, but you're not really finished. It still looks cluttered. I don't see how much more I can condense. I will share with you a desktop, any place you are trying to reduce the amount of items on a surface. I want you to think of this. How frequently do I use that item? Now, if it's something you use throughout the day and on a daily basis, truly, keep it within arm's reach. So be there at your desk and kind of literally do a little rainbow here, keeping the things that are important in arm's reach. Now, that's on the surface. So I have my notebook, I have my pens, I've got my stand for my phone so I can do these TikTok lives. I have a couple of other random things here that look a little bit cluttered, but not overly so. The things you use frequently, keep within arm's reach, but notice that you may not use them as frequently as you think you do. So the things that you use maybe once a week, find another place to store those that are not the cluttered surface. I have a wheelie cart underneath my desk here, because my desk's not really a desk, it's a table from IKEA. The things that I don't use every day, I have tucked in over there. So that's like my scissors, I've got a pencil, I've got my tape and my stapler, I've got my microphone from Carla, and when I'm done with this, I put it away. I've got a few other dribs and drabs, so it keeps the surface with only the simple bare necessities. The simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. Does that help? Lady V, condensing things isn't doing it for you. So think about what you use on the daily, and then think of where else can I store this stuff. If you're at a legit desk, you may have a drawer that you put the things in. This is where stored, notice how we easily transitioned from surface clutter to stored clutter. Okay, different places will work, I think, yes. So play around with that. Play around with that. I used to be a visual merchandiser. I have helped people move. I have helped people set up things like that. So making your systems easy to find things, easy to use them, and easy to put them away is number 2. But if it doesn't look good to you, figure out what would look better, create that, and then find other places where you know where that stuff is. But if you don't use it frequently, you can store it away. So when you go to get it, you know where it is. All right. Now, Gen X Debbie Z, and I love seeing the red X's, us Gen Xers. Gen X Debbie Z says, I'm working on a challenge where I get rid of the number of things according to the date. Interesting, Debbie. So I wonder, is today then, would you get rid of 5 things or 25 because it's 2-5? Or would you get rid of, does it keep on going so that at the end of the day you get around 365? If that works for you, that is great. Yeah, notice that one of the tools in her toolkit, because here we are, this is one of the reasons I show up, is to share with you the tools that work for me. The thinking of things and writing it down. The writing it down and scheduling it. The sharing it with other people. The chunking it down. Those are tools that work for me, so I share them with you in the hopes that it will work with you. You're sharing something that works for you, so I hope that challenge of getting rid of the number of things according to the date is working. Yeah, any way we can get started is a good way. The one thing I would be concerned about myself about something like that is I like to move at my own pace, and I like to feel good about the decisions. Okay, there we go. Today is 5 things. So it's February 5, 5 things. Okay, that's pretty good. And depending upon how much clutter you have, and just make sure that you're feeling good about what you're getting rid of. Like at the end of the month, when you go to be getting rid of 28 things on the last day of the month, make sure that you aren't doing it so quickly that you may regret something. Feel good. And if you're not feeling good and okay about what you're letting go of, work on that. Okay? Anna Scott is saying, how do you recommend organizing books on a bookshelf? Depends on how you want it. I have in the past. I do not recommend this. This is strictly looking good as if you're in a magazine, but it's not functional. I do not recommend putting things by the spine color. That's like for decorators and people who don't read books. What I would say, Anna Scott, is how do you interact with your books? Before we even start to do that, how do you want your books to strictly be decorative and never find one to look up something or read it again? Well, then maybe you do it where it's like, white, Roy G. Biv, as I like to say. I like to be able to find the books I'm looking for, so I, like anything, will chunk it down into categories. I have categories of my books and my husband's books. I have categories of my books from when I used to write books about diners and driving on road trips and stuff like that. I have a ton of those books that are reference books. So some of those are literally by state, by topic, by diner, by mid-century modern, by tiki, by road food, by music. So think of how you want to interact with your books and find a way to organize them in a way that makes it easy for you to find the book you're looking for if you think you're going to look for your books. I also do know that I have one kind of the high, like the best real estate piece in both of our bookcases. We have 3 bookcases in the living room. The number one, there's one cube. It's like one of these things. And I have my coolest books there. So I have like my signed copies of, coffee table books and big books that I want to impress people with. I have those books, and the ones that bring delight to me that are eye level where I can see them. The books that I don't like as much, but I'm still hanging on to for whatever reason, go in the opposite corner, the lowest corner, so I don't have to look at them every day. I also literally just pulled a book out of our bookshelf today to give to somebody tonight because I'm going to a book swap. And I easily found a book that I like. I read it, I liked it, and I thought I might read this again. But when it came to, do I need to keep this if I want to read it again? The answer was no. I can always get it from the library if I want to read it again. It has easily been probably 10 or 15 years since I read it, so the likelihood is low. But I was able to easily bring that book out of my collection and put it near the back door to remind me to bring it to this book swap. Anna Scott, I hope that helped you, okay? But notice what we did, everybody. Right there, what we did was we picked a category of stuff in your house, and we chunked it down into subcategories. And within those subcategories, there's fiction and there's nonfiction. There's many ways you can do it. And One of the reasons I do not declutter my books more than I have is because I know there are plenty of books that are just purely decorative at this point. They are no longer useful because I'm not doing the research I did. And some of my books are from back in the day prior to the internet, where if you wanted to find out about something, somebody had to write a book about it for you to get the information. So a lot of these books that I have now are old and they look good on the shelves. It would look weird to me if my shelves were empty. And so I have made a conscious decision to keep the books I have. I make sure they look good, that I have them. I do not buy books with the frequency that I used to. I also, when I buy books, I easily put them in a little free library or give them to a friend or something like that. So I do not acquire the books like I used to. The ones I have, I've gone through and I'm happy I kept them. They look good in the shelves. I can easily find them. So when I walk into my living room, they're not yelling at me. Does your stuff yell at you when you walk into a room? Pay attention to the stuff that's saying, hey, do something about me. Write that stuff down in your notebook. I know the other day I replaced a little rug. Okay? Alrighty. Rossman says, I need help with my coat closet / broom mop closet and my towel / husband deodorant closet. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So, Rossman, let's start with the coat closet, broom mop closet, because that's the easiest, because I don't know how stinky your husband is when he's got deodorant. Okay. So let's start with the coat closet, broom mop closet. What's up with that? You need help with it. This is where I like to remind you that this is why I call my coaching Destination Decluttered. Before we even open the closet, what do you want that closet to look like? How do you want to use it? What do you want to store in it? How do you want to access that stuff? I would say before you start doing anything, make sure you're heading in the right direction, just like a road trip. So I call it the front hall closet, because that's what we called it in my family, because there is a legitimate front hall that has a closet. Technically, this is a front hall, that is the closet. I know that we have, it has a lot of jackets and the mop and broom at my head each time I open it. Okay, so 2 things to solve for. What I would do is chunk that down. Notice, there's 2 things to solve for. You want to have it so the mops and brooms do not hit your head every time you open it. So could you attach some hooks on the inside of that closet and hang them up there so that they hang up? If they don't have little holes to put like a ribbon around or something, I know there's those little clips you can get where you can put like the little mop handle or the broom handle in and they just chunk right in. Could you do that? Maybe. I don't know. But also, it has lots of jackets. This is where the decluttering comes in. Notice earlier I gave you the storage of how to store your mop and broom. When you have lots of jackets, I would chunk them down. Whose jackets are they? How many jackets does each person have? And much like we were talking about the desktop, how often do you wear those jackets? If you are not wearing those jackets, could you donate them? If you are not wearing them because they only are occasional special occasion items or, jackets that are winter jackets versus summer jackets, could you pull out the ones that you still plan on wearing and do wear during that season and store them somewhere else so you have more room to more easily put away your jackets and coats in the closet? So there is going to be an element of reflecting on what do I want, my jackets in there, my husband's jackets, and asking him, do you wear this still? And if you're not wearing it, either start wearing it or let go of it. And if you can't start wearing it, but you're not letting go of it, it is a sentimental item. And we want to talk about that, because if it's sentimental and you're not wearing it, it shouldn't be where the clothes that you wear are. Okay? So Okay, so Rossman, I hope you're writing this stuff down on paper for yourself as well. Now, Gen X Debbie D says, my books are very important to me, but I am okay using a Kindle app on my iPad. So notice, Gen Xers, we come from the paper-based world. We are equally as comfortable in the digital world. You're also saying, we donated a bunch of coats and jackets that we don't use anymore. Okay, yep. So Rossman, you're telling me how things are right now. I want to challenge you to notice what you're writing down. You're defining what it is right now. Spend as much time and thought in deciding what you want it to be. Because if you don't know what you're aiming for, it kind of makes it's hard to plan a trip if you don't know where you're going. Okay? So you're noticing that your storage is storing these things, and you're not liking, I guess, how it looks or functions. So before, and this goes for everybody, before you start doing anything, look down the road and see what you're aiming for. Okay? So you said, my hubby donated bags of coats and clothes. It didn't even scratch the surface. Okay, so go through it and do it again. Yeah, if it didn't, it means there's too much. And stored clutter. Clutter is an amount of things or stuff. When you have a closet, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Your closet is a finite space. There is a finite number of things that you can hang in it and comfortably, easily pull out what you need and put it back in there. So determine how many can be stored there comfortably, and then get curious about the rest of them. Okay? So notice that, and this is a great thing because you're noticing that decluttering is not a one and done. Sometimes it is, but most often you go and you skim off a layer. You start with the easiest stuff. Well, I know I don't wear that. So maybe if we get rid of these things that were easy, then there will be fewer coats in the closet and it will function better. And well, that helped. It did help, but it didn't solve the problem. So then you go through it another round, another skimming of a layer. You also then notice the things you're not wearing, because you already have things that are in cycle. You know that you are wearing certain clothes because they're in the dryer, they're in the washer, they're in the hamper, they're on your body, they're on the floor in your bedroom. Look at the stuff you're not wearing and practice this on your own. Rossman, focus on your stuff so you get a better practice on how to declutter like this. Go look at your own stuff and ask yourself, I know that coat is hanging, and I'm picturing a coat I have 4 coats in that closet. One of them is for very special occasions because it's my big old leopard skin coat. I have another one that's a black and white coat that I'm iffy. I might donate that because I'm just not wearing it anymore. I also have my raincoat, which is new and it fits me and I do wear it, but it's not raining out. And then I have what I call my urban winter coat, because it's not my giant puffer coat that I bomb around the suburbs in. It's the one for if I'm going into the city. And I just got it and I like it, so it's hanging there. So I have 4 coats, and even me right now, 3 of those are a definite yes. One of them I could easily put in this bag right here that's going down to the vintage shop in my town. Practice with your own stuff. Also notice when you live with other people, they will have different thoughts and feelings about what's clutter and what's not. The fact that your husband has 2 shelves of deodorant, I am really curious about the story as to why there are 2 shelves of deodorant. Now, it's none of my business. He's got his own way of thinking about it, but to me, you pretty much only use 1 deodorant, unless you have 1 for each armpit. I don't know. So notice that there are people who collect more things than they ever use. That you have your thoughts and feelings about stuff and you do your stuff with it. Other people do as well. So Yeah. Julie is like me. Yeah. And I will share with you one of the things I have gotten so more aware of recently. I will just share this with you because we have been in our house now 20 years. I have noticed, even this morning when I went to go put some delicious Maine maple syrup on my cereal with my blueberries, I realized that we got that little thing of Maine syrup last year, not 2025, but after Christmas of 2024 when we were in Maine. What I realized was, wow, we do not use as much of this as I thought we did. I could easily put the date on the last time I used my deodorant. Sometimes I wear it, sometimes I don't. And notice the frequency with which you need to buy certain things could be much longer than you think it is. You get maybe 1 or 2 a year. So why do I have 2 shelves worth of it? But there's a lot of thoughts and feelings that we are unaware of that cause us to do things like buy too many of something, to go and feel like you need to get it, that kind of lack of, or they're going to stop making it. I really like this one. It was on sale. And yet, when you have too many things, why do we do it? Julie, I don't know your personal stories, but what I have found tends to be the general, what's the word I wanted? Common denominator, I was thinking of math, is this: fear of lack. Fear of lack. Fear of not having something because you know what it feels like to not have it. Fear of not enough food, not enough clothes, not enough of whatever. Fear of when you go to use it, it's not there and you don't have money to go buy it again. What are we trying to fill? I don't know what we're trying to fill. I think what we're trying to do is get out of lack and make ourselves feel better. But what we end up doing is we overshoot better and we think if a little bit feels good, then a lot is going to be even better. But what we realized is, so we have lack that's an empty tummy. We have overwhelm of too much clutter. What we're really trying to get to is like Goldilocks, is a just right feeling. Because too cold and too hot feel lousy in both different extremes. So what we want to do is get to the just right. But if we've never really tuned into what feels just right, we blow past that and we tend to acquire too much, especially if we're making up for perhaps a way of growing up where you didn't have a lot. Or you didn't, and now you have the ability to have a lot. You're trying to get peace in your soul. You're trying to treat yourself kindly. Maybe in your years past, you were not treated kindly, that you didn't get to use the brand name of whatever it was. So you say, my goodness, I'm always going to use brand name ingredients. I'm not just going to get the others. I will never be without butter again, because I grew up in the Depression and we had to use oleo or something. So everybody, your stories are going to be different than my stories. Everybody's details are going to be different. But when I see that type of thing, I look for fear. I look for fear. What am I afraid is going to happen? And by me clinging on to this, I'm trying to stop myself from the fear of death, the fear of pain, the fear of missing out, the fear of not having, the fear of lack. Yeah. Gina is saying that's my friend growing up where she had nothing. Now she has, notice, she went from nothing to too much of perfumes, makeups, cleaning supplies. Yeah. Yeah. Jen Becoming, I have lost most of my family. So I have a hard time letting go of mental items because it also reminds you of the loss you had. The fear, I always say this, the fear of forgetting. The fear that if I let go of that stuff, I may forget that person, and I don't want to forget that person. I want to remember absolutely everything about them. So maybe if I save all their stuff, they won't go away. Yeah, fear of death and pain. Look for it. You're going to find it. You know? I mean, look at all these crazy nut jobs who are in the Epstein files, you know, the fear of not being powerful, the fear of, you know, death, the fear of not being young, all sorts of things. Yeah. We all go through it. I think it's part of the human condition. When you become aware of it, though, that you can be like, oh, I see what's going on. I see what's going on. And you can do something to make yourself feel better in a different way. And I feel good telling myself that whenever I don't have anything, I can easily bring it into my life, but I don't need to do it until I need it. That this is an abundant world. And when I am noticing that my underarm deodorant is scraping my armpits and I'm popping it out, I'm twisting it up and it pops out, no big deal. I can go to the store and the store will have a deodorant in it. I will go to the store and I have money in my pocket to buy a deodorant and I don't worry about it. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, fear of disappointing our past loved ones can be one too. But I will say this too, it's fear of getting in trouble I always think of. Disappointing. Oh, I can't believe you. Your past loved ones, all of the people who have passed us, they are up above us looking down at how we are struggling with what to do with this box of randomness when they're saying, oh my God, you're missing the whole point of life. Life is about love and connection and helping one another. It's not struggling about, I'm going to get in trouble if I don't like my grandmother's china. Okay? Now, who's your mama? At 59, my age too, I'm already becoming forgetful. So I'm terrified, notice the fear, of losing the special memories. Now, I am sentimental like nobody's business. I keep a lot of stuff, but you know what I have done? I have, instead of saving all the things, all the boxes of memorabilia, I do still save some memorabilia. I write shit down. Who's your mama? I write down the special memories. I write down these small memories. The fact that I, got the house prepped for Christmas and, I got a gift from somebody. There are ways you can remember people and things without saving everything they owned. There are different ways you can do that. You can take pictures of the stuff. You can look at those pictures. When you look at that picture, it's like a little computer program. Your eye looks at it, and immediately a folder pops up in your brain that tells you a story. So instead of keeping maybe all your kids' artwork, perhaps you take a picture of all of those ones. And when you're keeping your kids' artwork, make sure that your kids know you're keeping it, because you may be keeping stuff that they don't even want. Yeah, notice that the way you remember people will pop up in different ways. Okie Teacher says music reminds me of a certain family members. Oh, me too. Me too. Certain smells remind me of different people. I think of pipe smoke with my dad. I think of, certain other smells. I can't think of them off the top of my head. I think of certain songs, certain flavors. Oh yeah, that's that stuff that my great aunt used to make. So writing down, remembering those things, but you will, if you're afraid of forgetting, then write stuff down. It's okay. You can also keep all of the clutter and all of the stuff, and I'm not going to judge you. But if you are uncomfortable with the quantity and quality of stuff in your house, I'm here to help you with it. I am loving how good it feels to walk through every stitch of my house and have so much less stuff that I just don't need anymore. Some of it is stuff I thought I needed up until about 5 years ago. And I realized I could remember the good times without saving, a whole stack of paper. Maybe I just have 1/8 of a stack of paper. Excuse me. Oh, I do keep the good stuff. But the clutter isn't the good stuff. The clutter is the stuff that you have multiple things that tell you the same story. I have a whole box, this whole thing right here. I was going through this today. So case in point, right here, I have this folder of papers. It's all kind of evidence that I worked in college radio in the 80s. The neat thing is I don't forget that, because the cool thing is I am friends with people I was still in college radio with. When I opened this today, it was kind of fun. I found an invitation to a Groundhog's Day party that our friend put together. We determined it was 1988, and I was able to take a picture of it, and I said, now all of us have a picture of this. Now, will I still keep that? Probably, because I'm sentimental. But there's a number of these things that I don't need to keep anymore, you know? So, Rachel Claire says, what do I do with my son's baby teeth? They are just sitting in a drawer. Throw them in the garden. Let the natural vitamin D in them make a plant grow. Okay? Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah. Sarah Larkin, you have such a great radio voice. Actually, it's wicked funny because as you can tell, I was in Boston area, so that's why I said wicked. But I typically have a weird Boston accent because I started talking on the radio. But it took me, talk about fear, it took me until the summer before my sophomore year before I even kind of went on the microphone because I was so afraid of it. I didn't do something and I was afraid of it. Once I started doing it and the world didn't explode, it ended up being kind of fun. Kind of like when I started doing my TikTok lives to TikToks about 4 years ago. I felt really uncomfortable because I was afraid something bad would happen. People would make fun of me. So notice what holds you back is fear. But when you calm down the fear enough to get into neutral and try one step and realize the world still went on and you didn't, die, then you're doing okay. Oh my goodness, you guys, today's TikTok Live is flying by. We have 4 minutes left. There is no YouTube Live today. I'm taking the day off from that. Tomorrow there will be a TikTok Live and a YouTube Live. So let's recap. There is a toolkit that you can start to create to help you declutter. And it may be things that you've never used before. Okay? All right? And I do these TikTok Lives and YouTubes almost every day. We do decluttering parties on the weekends for the most part. And if you want to know when all of this stuff is scheduled, because there is some, structure behind this, I have a schedule, but I keep it hidden on my website because I don't want trolls. I don't like trolls. So how you get access, because you're not a troll, and if you are interested, I don't force it on you, but I say, hey, you give me your email address. There's a form on my website that you can easily do that. When you do that, it's at destinationdecluttered.com. There's a link to it actually on the homepage of my TikTok here, so you can just click on that. Go to my website, scroll down, give me your email address, and then that will kick off an automatic email back to you that has a link to where all this cool stuff is hidden. Okay? And I grew up cluttered. I cluttered myself. And I will tell you, I love how my home looks and functions. I love how I feel when I'm in my home. And because I have learned skills and tools that I use, I can help other people with it. Yeah. And so, I've continued to store my stuff and my parents' stuff. And Neural, what I was going to mention too about that is that I have been helping my mother, my aged mother, for the past 5, 6, 10, 20 years, declutter the home that I grew up in. I grew up with people who saved paper. Last summer, I found papers from 1973. Thank you notes from Citgo saying, thank you for promptly paying your credit card statement. Did we need to keep that up there since 1973? No, but I'm just letting you know where I came from. And I don't keep that stuff anymore. And it feels good. Okay? So, trust me, this is what I love to help people with because I know that so many people struggle. Okay? And I continue. I was at my mother's house 2 weeks ago and I literally found paperwork from 1994, 1999, 2005, 2016, and that's all while I was gathering up the paperwork to do her 2025 taxes. So when you learn this, not only can you help yourself, but you can use these tools to help anybody else if you want to. All right? So I'm going to sign off now. Again, my name is Beth. I'm a decluttering life coach. I love it. Mama D says, thank you. And I'll say it again. You are the best. You're welcome. You've helped me do much. All right. I'm glad I help. I come to help and not hurt. You can do this. Yeah. Found my dad's pay stubs from 1956. Yes. Gen Xers digging out the silent generation.